We're glad you're tuned in tonight. It's Thursday, August 18th, 6 o'clock p.m., a few minutes thereafter, and we are live coming from the studio of AOS in Omaha, Nebraska. This is Gary Ballard with a very, very special guest from the city tonight. And you'll know just how special in just a few minutes. This one's for the city. It's always for the people. Let's get into it. Again, welcome to our show tonight. We are glad to be here on Fanbase. We are saying hello to Fanbase, to everybody who may be watching tonight, and whenever you're listening to this podcast, we have given the exclusive content to Fanbase, and we've explained so many times before just why. This app, Fanbase, if you're listening on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, we want you to get to know Fanbase. Fanbase was founded, started, pioneered by one of the geniuses from our community, the son of Isaac Hayes, the soul R&B legend Isaac Hayes. His son has created this app and this platform, and he did it for a purpose. He did it with a reason in mind, so that everybody would have equal opportunity to come on, share our thoughts, share our content. There are paid walls here on this app where you can have sponsored content that you can only get to when you pay. You have to buy hearts. You have to buy likes on Fanbase. You can't just like somebody's content. You have to buy the likes on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store, and it puts credit on your Fanbase account. And every time you share a like with somebody, that is monetized. I believe it's like half a penny or something like that. So whenever you get up to $50 at least, every payout period, if you have at least $50, they kick $50 or more straight to your account. So a lot of people say I can't pay bills with likes. But on this platform, you might be able to. You may be able to pay bills with likes. So there are a lot of reasons why you should consider joining Fanbase. And this is not sponsored content. They're not paying me to say any of this. It's just important. There are many times we've had very candid conversations about our community, and Facebook cut us off. YouTube has been a little kinder, but Facebook cut us off real quick. One time in particular, we were talking about owning our own property versus renting, and the whole conversation. We see now how they're jacking up rent, and the median rent is going up all over the country. It's basically unaffordable at this point for the average single head of household family. But we were talking about that, and then speaking specifically with minorities and black people, indigenous people, the natives. As long as we've been here, we're the two longest groups that have been here in mass on this continent, which is your indigenous natives and your Africans that were brought here. We have been here hundreds of years, over 400 years, some of our bloodlines and some of our families. And we were speaking of, it doesn't make sense to have been here 5-6 generations, over 400 years, and be renting from people who have been in the country 13 years. Something's wrong with that. And as soon as we got into that, we were cut off. But we stayed in it. And we knew then that we would have to have an alternative. There are some very important, critical conversations we have to have in our community. And I ain't gonna shoot no shots at nobody, but you know, you have virtual strip club on your platform. They ain't gonna cut that off. be getting money, everything. But when you speak on something like that, Facebook cut us off. So we knew then there was a problem, Houston, but we fixed it. We appreciate fan base for giving us the liberty to talk real talk. And we had to come on fan base tonight for this brother here in Omaha, Nebraska. This is a very necessary brother, very influential young brother. And not only that, he's gifted, he's talented. His waters run really deep, and we're going to get into it. You go see it, I'm going to see it. We're going to enjoy him tonight. Introduce yourself the way you want to be introduced tonight. On social media, as you see on all the advertisements, his is AztecSoulbrutha, and he'll break that down for us. But tell the people who you are and a little about yourself, and we gonna get into it tonight.
Oh, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Gary, and appreciate everybody on Fanbase, anybody that's tuning in. This is a necessary platform for us as Africans of this continent, as he was just saying, being here over 400, 500 plus years, and potentially even longer than that, as well as indigenistic populations, Chicanos. So appreciate y'all tuning in. But yeah, I'm AztecSoulbrutha, your main man, 50 bands. I always come live and direct from the 40 Deuce, Omaha, Nebraska. My whole purpose is just to promote positivity, man, for the kids, for anybody that's doing something, anybody that has a business, anybody that's making music, any youth athlete that's attempting to get themselves out there. That's my purpose. I started this, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago on my YouTube channel, and of course my Instagram channel, any other handle that I have. Social networking is all AztecSoulbrutha, but it's not about me. It's about the city and our people, north side, south side, everything in between. There's too many people go around here unnoticed, unfortunately. Too many athletes, too many music artists, and all they really want is just somebody to pay attention to them. Somebody let them know, like, hey, I'm here for you. I got your back, and I actually appreciate you attempting to do something different than the norm. Because too many kids get caught up in the extras of what it's like growing up in our communities, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, to be the older homie, I'm about 33 now, and to actually go through whatever all these other kids is going through and make it out of it for the most part, it's only my job to give back as much as I can. I can't pay for things. I can't buy everybody some, but if I can take a small social media channel and spread light on what you got going on in your life, then, hey, that's what my purpose is. It's not about the money. It's not about the recognition. I don't care how many followers I get, as long as the people that know that I'm showing them love and respect is following me. That's all that really matters, though. But shit, man, AztecSoulbrutha, all social media handles. If y'all need, tap in. I got you. 402. That's what we do. And I appreciate you having me here for real.
Oh man, hey, I'm honored you were come.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not always easy to squeeze stuff in. It's a busy time, a life for everybody. You born and raised here?
Oh yeah, born and raised.
All right.
It was July 15, 1989, man.
All right.
So yeah,
all right.
On the north side, I was born at University Hospital. My mom brought me home to the south side. We stayed with my tia for a little bit because I'm half Chicano.
All right.
And then we moved over to the north side, and yeah, I was North High graduate. That's where I've been at.
I hear you. All right, me too. I don't want to give too much info.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Biggie said no info for the.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no. Went to Lothrop right down here, Claire Daycare Center.
Oh yeah, I went to Lothrop for maybe about a month or so. I got kicked out of a lot of schools, unfortunately. I was one of them kids that kind of got bounced around, jumped from alternative school. I went to Paris for a while, but eventually I settled down at North High School, and they kind of got me on the right track in my junior year.
All right. I went to one of them, right over there by behind Mutual. I had to go sit for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
What's that brick school? It was an alternative school. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
But I had to ride the van. You know when you get demoted from the bus?
Yeah, they put you on the little vans. Yeah, I had to do one of those. That's the thing, though. Like, there's so many alternative programs in the school systems and things like that. That's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start what I've been doing, because there's so many at-risk youths. There's so many kids going through these type of traumas where they don't have somebody looking out for them at home.
Right.
They don't have a steady home. There's a lot of kids that bounce around from foster care to foster care, or they bounce around from family member to family member without somebody really caring about them.
Right.
And they got these deep-rooted issues mentally that no one sits down to discuss with them.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can actually talk to one of them kids just through my social media handle, because that's what I do as well. It's like if you need to reach out to me, then I can do that for them also.
Are you a former athlete?
No, I have zero athletic ability. I was trash, man.
All right.
I'm what you call a spectator.
All right.
For the lack of a better term.
Skip pay his bills.
I'm saying, oh yeah, you always like
and hating.
it go hand in hand. You gotta have the media aspect when it comes to, of course,
Right.
sports, because who gonna watch you if ain't nobody talking about you?
Right. Yeah. Hey, it's a huge industry now.
Yeah.
Personality driven, but man, your social media platform. One aspect of it, man, is we were talking to one of the brothers yesterday, and he mentioned recognizing your picture.
Oh yeah.
And he said that's the brother does all the sports and highlights all the kids. And does he still do it? I said, yeah, he's putting little promos up now.
Oh
The
yeah, we got it
football
coming back
fields and
soon,
all of
yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
known
yeah.
for that. Like you were saying before we came on air, how critical though it's important to have our own machine. Your own
Absolutely.
machine, but to push the kids, and raise their profile publicly so
Absolutely.
they can get more looks
Yeah, you gotta be
outside of the
unified.
politics of the metro.
Yeah, because
Talk about that a little bit.
Omaha small in its own right already as is, and then unfortunately we don't have a lot of media outlets that's gonna promote the athletes that deserve to be promoted at certain schools or within certain sports programs, just because they're not within that area as far as for marketability. So us as Africans and Chicanos within the city, we gotta promote ourselves. Like you look at Bud. Bud is a product of the North Side and the South Side all in one, from his boxing trainer down to his family members and his friends. You know what I'm saying? He would have never got to. Well, I wouldn't say he wouldn't have got to where he got to, but he wouldn't have as much love and recognition if it wasn't for where he came from and the support that he has. And for us to be able to do that with one athlete, we should be able to do it with majority, or if not all, of our athletes. We got to be able to sit back and see the talent within kids, because they do have an alternative what they could be doing, and they're not necessarily always going to be positive. So if these kids have the time to take out and be good, go to a sport, dedicate themselves, then how come we can't champion that and gas that up as much as we can? It don't really take that much to take somebody's picture or their video and put it on your social media handle. We already do that anyway. We see everybody on their social media posting everything from TikTok. They post everything from somewhere else. They'll post everyone else's music, but they won't support themselves. For some reason, they look at it coming from Omaha, Nebraska, even if they come from Omaha, Nebraska, and they see it as being fugazi or not relevant or not even worthy of talking about.
Right.
That couldn't be further from the truth. If we can come together as a collective, parents, artists, businesses, students, kids, and athletes all together, we should be able to promote something big for ourselves, also generate revenue,
Right.
because we sell. There's marketability within ourselves.
Right.
Instead of letting somebody else come in and capitalize on that, we can capitalize on that from the beginning. It's like LeVar Ball. He didn't let nobody else capitalize on his sons from the jump. Him and his family capitalized on it. Now, of course, the sons eventually branched off and they doing their own thing now. But at the beginning of it all, they got the bag for themselves and for the family.
True.
Which we can all do for each other.
True.
That's just how I look at it, though.
No, man, I love that. When I travel inner city everywhere.
Yeah.
Chicago, Detroit, LA, Dallas, Miami, like all the little inner cities, man, New York,
Yeah.
the different boroughs. When we go places, people always ask us, it's usually about 4 or 5 of us. And then we moving different. And they're like, where y'all from? And when we say Omaha, they're like, what's Omaha?
Y'all live on a
Like
farm?
Omaha State, Mutual Omaha.
Right.
They're like, where's that? We say Nebraska. They're like, Nebraska?
You on a
It's
track?
black people in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like, you already know
Yeah.
how you get that when you go. And when they ask us what it's like, I know one time we went to we were in Canada during All-Star weekend. And man, we were just chopping it up with brothers from everywhere.
Right.
And they coming from like Cameroon, Nigeria. They coming from the islands,
Yeah.
Haiti. We chopping it up with them. And this is a little sidebar, but they were having it was their version of Carnival at the time.
Okay.
So everybody had their colors on.
Right.
And so they had this big table. Hey man, come pick y'all colors up. So we went up there. We're like, pick up our colors. So we looking at the table. And he's like, where y'all from? We like, we from the States. We from the States, from Nebraska. He's like, all right, that's nice. That's nice. All right, well, grab your colors, man. Where y'all from? And we like, the States. He's like, no. Where you from?
That's the thing. We don't have an identity.
He said, where you from? He darker than me.
Yeah.
Come on, but where you from? And he's like, what country? You from Nigeria? You from where? Ghana? What are you?
They don't know your identity.
Man, It was one of the craziest moments of my life.
It's heavy.
We all stood there. People know their colors, man, from all over the world.
They know who they are.
Trinidad. I mean, the Dominican, they grabbing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
South America, Belize, like, man, he was like, you know what? Ain't no problem. We got the U.S. colors right here. We got one with the U. I said, man, I don't want that.
See, that's the thing, though.
And they was like, everybody was, man, it was embarrassment. It was shame. It was hurt. If I felt really irresponsible in a way, you know what I mean? Like my lack of connectivity to my nativity had never been so highlighted before in my life till that moment, and it was public.
It hits you in your soul,
And
especially when it's
everybody
in front of your
knew.
own and your peers too.
It was packed.
It makes you feel like you're an outsider within your own people.
No, man, they hitting us with like, what's going on with your politics? This stuff y'all going on with Trump and Hillary and yada yada, and y'all got gun violence going crazy. It's like y'all are like, you think we choosing the president?
True.
Like, look who you talking to. They was like, all right, respect. I'm like, no, we don't have the power over there singularly to put people in power. I said, so when you talk about laws and stuff like that, you ain't talking about nothing we controlling.
Directly, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was then that we came home, man. Like, I don't care what people say about what they go do with DNA and all that. I was like, hey, man, I sent in my ancestry. Another one of our guys did AfricanAncestry.com.
Yeah.
Because when your results come back to a certain percentage or more, they help you get dual citizenship.
Oh, yeah?
In whatever tribe they find what tribe you from in Africa.
That's what I need to do.
You know what I'm saying? And it's an African company called AfricanAncestry.com.
Yeah.
And so I did a cheaper one to get a little real quick and see what they was talking about, and came back Nigerian, Cameroonian, and it was like a year. It was during the pandemic. I hit my man up in Canada. I said, hey, man, I never forgot you. I never forgot that moment. I sent him a screenshot of the map and the little results. I said, but I want you to know, man, I know my colors now.
Right.
And he said, and I'm sending you your colors now. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. When you coming back? Yeah. Man, during the pandemic, he mailed from Canada. He mailed me my colors, had my shirt.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying, man? Putting them, patching them.
Right. You got your individuality now. You got your people now. You got an understanding of where you come from. That's the unfortunate downfall about being here over 400 plus years. Like you were saying, you lose your individuality and it's taken from you in the same aspect of it all. Even when you get to the point where you can actually learn what you are, we shunned it away. I remember growing up, people used to make fun of me, like people from being from Africa. It's like, what's wrong with that? They used to call you African, booty scratcher. They used to make fun of your skin being dark, like it wasn't supposed to be beautiful or something like that. Or if your hair was a little bit more kinked, it was like, oh, you got nappy hair. Like, no, that's natural.
For real.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's what water do to you.
For real.
You stand in the sun and have no problem. You good. That's melanin. That's what you need in your life.
Right.
Same thing for Latinos, though. It goes across the spectrum for us. Like you go down to Mexico, it's just as racism. It's just as much racism in Mexico as it is.
The colorism.
Like, people don't really know, like, the person who freed the slaves was actually a half black, half native Aztecian.
Get into that. I saw you just post that.
Yeah. I believe his name was Vicente Guerrero, and he was the first African / Latino or Mexican president, and he freed the slaves in Mexico 40 years before the slaves was freed in America. Right. He also tried to help fight off the Spanish, and he also kind of like set up a few different things as far as when it relates to government to make things easy. He didn't last that long, unfortunately, because of course, as a black man anywhere in power, eventually they gonna come get you. And it was his own vice president that put up a rebellion against him, so he had to fight a rebellion. Eventually, he got executed, but it was a black man who actually freed the slaves in Mexico 40 years before it happened even in America, before Abraham Lincoln and any of that. It wasn't built as a necessity either for...
Say his name again. Everybody need to get into that.
Vicente Guerrero, I believe his name is. Vicente Guerrero.
Okay.
Yeah.
You bilingual?
No. I understand a little bit, but I grew up on the north side. My mom loved black men, so yeah. Right. Like, she grew up in South Omaha, but she grew up in South Omaha by the South Omaha Project. So it's kind of like...
Yeah, but you got the R's rolling right.
Oh, so yeah. You got to make sure you pronounce it appropriately. It's like, because, you know what I'm saying?
Well, everybody, you already know what's going to happen.
Don't say you Chicano and you over here saying Guerrero, you know what I'm saying? Chorizo. Like, nah, man, say it correctly, man. Be respectful to the lingo.
Right.
But in all reality, I tell them when they say, oh, you don't speak Spanish, it's like, that's just the language of an oppressor. As an Aztecian or a Mayan or an Incan, you didn't speak Spanish.
Right.
Like, as a native, you didn't talk that.
Man, that's heavy right there.
That's forced on you. Like they get mad at me because I'm not Catholic. Like that's a forced religion as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah,
Like I'm
yeah, yeah.
spiritual. I believe in God and I
Yeah.
love Jesus, but also
Yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
love Muhammad and Buddha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's heavy.
Gotta be
That's
spiritual.
heavy. So the Spanish language was as much imposed on the people as English was in this
The
country.
Spanish culture for
Okay.
mathematics, science,
Right.
the way of life,
Right.
construction, everything. You gotta think about it. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incas, and all the other tribal nations that was over there, they had billions of people, if not hundreds of millions, if not that.
Right.
And they had their own civilizations. They had their own mathematics. They had their own structure, their own roads, their own ways of doing things. They had ways of getting rid of waste and sewage. So you could take your waste and sewage, we flush it down the toilet. They would take that and they would turn it into fertilizer. So they would take their own waste, turn it into fertilizer, and make food for it, healthy, sustainable food. They were able to build this on like different pockets of water, which normally didn't have anything that you can grow anything on. But then they started to take the fertilizer waste, they take additional land, and they started to grow on these different types of garden, which was more sustainable. It's arguably more sustainable than the way that we do farming now, from what they say.
Sure.
But unfortunately, when the Spaniards came, they erased all of that. So Spanish and English is for the most part one of the same. They both from Europe, and then both forced and imposed. The only thing is they came over here and forced and imposed it on us, and then with black people, they brought us from over there and forced it upon us over here. So being black and Chicano to me is one of the same.
Yeah.
Like we in the same boat.
Okay.
They had black slaves in Mexico and in South America before they had them over in the Americas.
Right.
In North America for the most part.
Right.
So it's like there's a long history and long longevity between both races that need to be discussed more. So that's why I had to become the Aztec Soul Brother to like kind of
I love that.
bind the two.
That's heavy.
Yeah, and then another thing on top of that, people always think that Chicanos and natives are for the most part completely different as well. Like, nah, we're both native people of the North American continent. We're the original people.
Right.
We're not different from one another. It's just you go up further, that's where they at. You go down south, that's where we was at, and there was everything else in between.
Right.
They had giant Native American tribes, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in between throughout the entire continent of North America.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me all of a sudden once these Europeans come over, these people are now separate from one another and different? Not at all. That's just how I take it, though.
No, that's heavy. Yeah.
You gotta find a way. You gotta find a way to bind everything. Not to hate on any European brothers, because at the end of it all, they were running from oppressors too.
Right.
Like people always look at Europe and they make it seem like it's always been kings and queens and crowns and goblets. Like no, they lived in the forest. They slept in the trees. They were nomadic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were just like the natives until they got oppressed by the Romans.
Right.
And then they were oppressed then by the Danes, who were the Vikings.
Right.
So it's a continued history of oppression that continues to get passed on. Race is just a new topic that gets put into it because we never had a place where it's just a smorgasbord of everyone from across the world.
Right.
So, of course, the one person that has the most money is going to create something that people can argue over. Like race, culture is literally the same thing with different names and labels, but
100%.
we're going to make it seem like it's completely different from one another to make you fight so you don't really look at what the real
Look at
thing
us.
is.
Yeah. So you don't follow the money.
Exactly. That's what brings us back to promoting ourselves,
Yeah.
gas each other up, because eventually we do that. That's where the money comes into play.
Right.
As a people, we outnumber any Europeans on this side of the world, hands down.
The whole globe. Globally?
People think like Africa is a completely separate place. It's like that's one giant country, my boy.
Right.
Those are invisible lines.
Right.
You get all the people on the same page.
Right.
You get the Latinos from across the pond all on the same page. And then if you can get your Asian brothers on the same page, the people who used to be in charge ain't really in charge now when you think about it.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Man. Y'all see what we talking about? The brother is heavy. All right, let me ask you this. Are you read? Were you taught in the home? Did you study self-taught?
Yeah, this is all self-taught. This is just years of
When did you
experience.
start? And what made you start, if you can remember?
I just always had a curious mind. I grew up through a lot of trauma, and I always wanted to see what the other aspect of situations were. Like, something bad can happen to you, and then you can take it in a negative way, and then continue to let that be the narrative, or you can look at the situation and dissect it from every angle. Why did this happen? How could this happen? What's the reasoning for this happen? Because they say everything happens for a reason. There's a purpose around it all. So it's kind of like, all right, now you got to understand the purpose. Why did you go through this trauma? Well, it's to make you stronger at the end of this. So that mainly started when I was like, I don't know, really young,
Okay.
10, 11 years old. I learn more about my father because my father, I'm named after Thomas Grayson,
Okay.
was an artist, but he was unfortunately shot and killed 2 weeks before I was born back in 1989
All
in a
right.
skirmish
Okay.
just off of Lake Street.
Okay.
So the conflict of him passing away is possibly gang related or possibly just wrong place, wrong time.
Okay.
So a lot of people say it was gang related because of the people he was hanging with, Crips and Bloods, that type of stuff. Other people say it was just wrong place, wrong time, being around friends, defending the people. So that creates an inner conflict of, do I be upset about someone killing my father, or
Right.
do I understand the situation that it was just an accident or things happen in this world?
Right.
So now that you do that, you can learn more about your father. It's like, okay, what kind of person was he before he got killed? Who did he hang out with? What was he into? And I started learning more and more about my family. So my father was a real activist type person. Like, he believed in Malcolm X and his teachings. His mother was a Black Panther. She used to help in the city with the
Your
schools.
grandmother?
Yeah, my grandmother.
All right.
Yvonne. She used to help in the city, giving kids foods at the after school program, things like that.
Right.
Excuse me.
Right.
So as opposed to people creating and vilifying him like they would do in the media, because they put a whole news thing out there that made it seem like he was unjust for the situation happening, because you know how they try to paint the situation.
Right.
They use his mugshot as opposed to an actual picture in the news
Do it every
articles.
time.
So it's like, I grew up with the villainry of my father, but then realizing that my father wasn't a villain at all. In reality, he was actually a protector. He was looking after his friends. He was a motivator. He was an artist. He painted this picture that was of a Black man picking a large piece of cotton, but it was an airbrush painting. So that image is like forever ingrained in my mind. That's what really got me going, because I grew up around my mom in the Mexican side,
Right.
but we lived in North Omaha. So it's kind of like a continual bounce back and forth of issues like, are you Black? Are you Chicano? Black kids really don't accept you. Mexicans really don't accept you. But then once you start to learn more about both cultures and start to relate to both of your cultures, then it becomes more accepting. People understand where you're coming from.
All right. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break.
Yeah.
And when we come back for the next segment, I want to ask you about, I don't want to stay on it too long, but you are probably more qualified than most to speak on it. Some of the Black and brown tension,
Yeah.
gang wise, and even, a few years ago, I'd say about 10 years ago, when some of the initiations were supposedly to hit somebody from the Black side or the brown side, and
Yeah, that was a heavy conversation. I'm glad you brought that up. But we can get into that.
because you better than anybody. So give us a little bit on that, and we'll let everybody take a quick break. And we're here with Aztec Soul Brother out of Omaha, Nebraska, and this incredible conversation. Told you it would be, and we just getting started, y'all. We're only 30 minutes in.
Embrace.
Yeah, man, it's cool so far.
Yeah,
All right, man.
y'all good fan base.